Alpha Day, the Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation, Housing is now called to order. Today is Thursday, October 7th, 2021. The time now is 1:31. Welcome to everyone connected by Zoom and those tuning in via television or the YouTube channel. Thank you for your patience and for accommodating the Zoom platform while we maintain social distancing mandates. Public notices for this public hearing were disseminated via email to all senators and all main media broadcasting outlets on Wednesday, September 29th, and again on Tuesday, October 5th. The agenda today is we'll be discussing Bill 197-36 COR, introduced by myself, co-sponsored by Senator Amanda Shelton, Vice Speaker Tina Rose Muña Barnes, with State Pedo Terlaje, Senator Frank Blas Jr., Senator Jim Moylan, Senator Clynton Ridgell, and Majority Leaders Senator Telena, Cruz, Nelson. An act to appropriate $10 million from the 2021 Earned Income Tax Credit reimbursement to the University of Guam for the purpose of providing additional financial support towards the construction of the Student Service Center and the School of Engineering buildings. The rules of conduct. The Zoom meeting is hosted by my staff and we mute all Zoom participants who called upon. Members of the committee and or non-committee members will be allowed to pose a question to an individual testifying. Individuals testifying shall first be recognized by me before speaking and begin by stating their name for record-keeping purposes. When called to speak, please ensure that you are unmuted. Question and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to the character or the motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Any violation of the general rule of conduct will result in a removal from the virtual public hearing by my staff. Please ensure that your video remains on throughout the hearing. Participants must be visible at all times and not engage in any activity during the hearing. Failure to maintain visibility may cause your removal from being live streamed. I ask all participants that if you're taking a drink or having a snack, I have no problem with that one. There'll be no problem with that. I'd like to thank my colleagues for attending this afternoon hearing. I see on the Zoom here, I see Senator Amanda Shelton, Speaker Therese Terlaje, Senator Duenas. I know I saw Senator Pedo Terlaje. Yeah. Let me see, I'm just trying to expand my Zoom here. I see Senator Brown. Let's see, I see Senator Telena. I think that's about it for now. But otherwise, thank you, colleagues, for joining this hearing. We have Dr. Christ that will be testifying, and followed by, I think, Ms. Anita, Dr. Anita Enriquez, and let me see who else. We've got a bunch of folks here will be testifying today. So we have Randy Wiggin, we got Katrina Paris, Anthony Reyes, Christopher Cruz, Sean Lee, Megan Carey, Ken, gosh, I don't want to murder your last name, Ridgell, and then Nolan Flores, and Lisa Provido. I just asked the folks that are testifying, just minimize your testimony so we can get to everybody. I appreciate it. All right, we'll begin with, let me give an opening statement first about the bill. Bill is an act to appropriate $10 million from the 2021 Earned Income Tax Credit reimbursement to the University of Guam for purpose of providing additional financial support towards the construction of the Student Services Center and the School of Engineering buildings. According to the University of Guam website, 1989, the University of Guam pre-engineering program was instituted to fill the need for engineers for Guam and other islands in the Western Pacific. This program produced students prepared for admission as juniors into any four-year engineering school accredited by the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology. Then in 2009, USG President, during Dr. Robert A. Underwood, expressed his vision for establishing a four-year accredited engineering degree program to support the current and growing demand for engineering education in Guam and the region, private and public sectors. Then in September 2016, the ULG Board of Regents established a new School of Engineering. And in February 2019, the board approved a four-year Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering program, accredited by ABET, A-B-E-T. And that's the the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology. The academic mission of the School of Engineering is to develop highly competent professionals prepared for entry-level positions in civil engineering, to further study in graduate school and for lifelong learning and societal leadership, with a vision to graduate highly qualified engineers, maintain nationally recognized research, and provide quality professional and community service to Guam, Micronesia, and the neighboring regions in the Pacific and Asia. UG has worked diligently in financing the construction of the Student Service Center and the School of Engineering with the U.S. Department of Agricultural loan through the UG Endowment Foundation. And after further consultation with the building contractors, the UG learned of the increased cost of building due to the rising cost of materials and supplies. Recently, the federal government authorized reimbursement for Guam in their Earned Income Tax Credit Program in 2021. And through this reimbursement, it is this bill's goal to appropriate $10 million to provide UG with additional financial support for the construction of the Student Service Center and the School of Engineering. And again, I'd like to thank my co-sponsors on the bill, Senator Shelton, Vice Speakers Tina Rose Muña Barnes, Senator Jose Pedo Terlaje, Senator Frank Blas Jr., Senator Jim Moylan, Senator Clynton Ridgell, and Senator Telena Cruz Nelson. I'd like to make it noteworthy that I am alumni of UG and I intend to support UG in whatever means may be that's available to take care of all the students of Guam. And with that, I'd ask, let's see, let me get Dr. Price, the president, to the chair of the Board of Regents. Yes, Ms. Providio, Lisa. Please, I'm going to start out with you first, then we'll get to the president next after you, ma'am. All right, thank you. If you can unmute, it'll work.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. There you go. Thank you, Senator Agustin. Okay, so I get to go first then. All right, thank you. Again, buenas today. To the Honorable Senator Joseph Agustin, members of the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriations, and Housing, Speaker Terlaje, I would like to submit my testimony in support of Bill 197-36 to provide funding for the School of Engineering and the Student Success Center, not only as the Board of Regents chairperson, but as a concerned citizen. The current Student Center was built in the 1970s that for its time reflected the modern era of progress and innovation as the university embarked on capital improvements back then. However, over the last 5 decades, the Student Center has gradually deteriorated, nearing the end of its lifespan, and has really not kept up with the much larger needs of the students today. The Student Success Center will certainly elevate and enrich student life as a much needed Triton home. It holds much significance in the campus master plan as it encloses the courtyard between the RFK Library and the School of Business and Public Administration, further defining the heart and center of life of the campus. As a public gathering space, the Student Success Center will be a much more accommodating venue with its expanded footprint, not only for students, but for alumni activities and events, and will no doubt cultivate a collective pride and joy in the university campus, especially on Charter Day. The School of Engineering is even more near and dear to me as a design professional. I had also served as a board member for the Professional Engineers, Architects, and Land Surveyors Licensing Board. And to establish the School of Engineering will no doubt raise the professional standard of care for engineers on the island. If you look at the numbers, there are well over 600 registered engineers licensed to practice on Guam. The large majority obtained through reciprocity from other jurisdictions in the mainland. The board has also allowed non-accredited degree holders to qualify for the exam by acquiring additional work experience, such as candidates from the Philippines who have made Guam their home. Having such a program would not only provide a much larger pool of engineering professionals from Guam, but draw on local talent who would have a closer understanding of the island's tropical building environment and design constraints. Guam is probably one of the few remaining jurisdictions that does not have an accredited ABET accredited engineering program and continues to offer an alternative path to licensure to this long-standing work experience. So perhaps over time, the licensing laws may also reflect the evolving nature of the island's professional practice. The university is in a unique position to serve as an important stakeholder in the engineering community with the construction of this building, especially once it obtains AVID accreditation, the gold standard credential. Imagine breaking ground on a new Student Success Center in the School of Engineering in celebration of UOG's 70th Founders Day in 2022. This would be really an exciting milestone for the campus experience, and most importantly, for our students as we continue to invest in their higher education and their future. And
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you for recognizing the Student Service Center has been there since the 70s. I went to school there when the university was giving the first 2 years of education there for free. We'll now have Dr. Kreis. Dr. Kreis, sir. President.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Senators, Madam Speaker. And on behalf of the University of Guam, I would like to thank you and Senator Shelton and the rest of your co-sponsors for bringing Bill 19736 forward. More than a decade ago, the University of Guam determined that the two significant priorities for the campus were the construction of a new Student Success Center and an engineering annex to house the new School of Engineering. The construction of the Student Success Center is part of an initiative to improve the overall experience of students seeking a degree from the university. The university has abandoned the model where students are largely left on their own to meet their degree requirements and is pursuing a model in which we proactively work with students to achieve their academic goals. The current building is beyond its useful life. It leaks during heavy rains, the roof is falling, and concrete chips periodically fall from the ceiling. The new building will be built on the existing land plot and will expand the footprint of the building and include a second story. The building will house the Triton store, the cafeteria, the financial aid office, the registrar's office, the student health office, and much more. It will enable students to take care of all of their administrative requirements in one place, the one-stop shop. The engineering annex, of course, was a key part of the initiative to add the School of Engineering to the campus. There are more than 700 engineers on island, and yet none of them have a degree from the University of Guam yet. We have to import most of this engineering expertise required for the island. The university created this initiative to build our local expertise to keep some of our best and brightest minds here on the island working for the future of the island. The project was initially approved for funding from the United States Department of Agriculture, and an obligation of the Government of Guam General Fund. The projects have faced a multitude of setbacks, but the loan of $21.7 million from the USDA was finally approved in April of this year. When we approached our student center contractor to provide updated costs, we learned that the costs had increased significantly. We extrapolated the data to the engineering annex and came up with a total cost of $30.8 million. This created a $9.1 million shortfall and left us in a position where we would have to manage the construction internally without the benefit of a construction manager. We approached USDA with this news. While they indicated it might be possible to increase the amount of the loan, the additional requirements they had seemed similar to an entirely new loan application process and would add yet more months to the already long timeline to get these projects done. The Student Success Center project is a shovel-ready project. As soon as the funding source is identified, the contractor can proceed with completing the design, permitting, and construction. We have lost our contractor for the engineering annex and are in the process of replacing them. Thus, the engineering annex is a little bit behind the Student Success Center, but is close to being shovel-ready. This bill will enable some use of a construction manager, and if there are any funds remaining, we humbly request the legislature allow us to use this for other urgent safety and deferred maintenance issues we face. Sinceramente, Thomas W. Kreis, President. So thank you very much, Senator and Senators, for your support and consideration of this bill.
Thank you, Dr. Kreis, Mr. President. Now we'll have Dr. Anita Enriquez. Ma'am.
Buenas and half a day, Honorable Chairman San Agustin, Madam Speaker Terlaje, Chairperson of Education, Honorable Senator Shelton, and Honorable Senators on this call, Guahusi, Anita, and Boran Enriquez, Senior Vice President and Provost, Universidad Guahan. On behalf of our students, our faculty, and all of our stakeholders of the University of Guam, I want to extend a heartfelt Sindangkunanas to our honorable senators for sponsoring Bill 197-36, which I fully support. Sijusmasi for your confidence in the value that our institution provides to support our workforce, solutions to our community and our economy, and building the overall quality of life for our people on island long-term. Safety and well-being of our students, our University of Guam familia, and stakeholders are paramount on our campus. 20 years ago, I was part of a similar journey to search for funding to build the long overdue replacements of the dilapidated and unsafe buildings A and B. And some of you may remember that. Not sure how many of you do recall, but we wanted to provide a safe, quality home for the College of Business and Public Administration. Fast forward with the confidence and support of your predecessors of the Legislature Guahan to help provide the bulk of the annual debt service repayment source for the $13.5 million USDA loan, we have a safe and beautiful facility that showcases to our students and stakeholders the confidence our government leaders have in our university. Once again, given the scant availability of key funding to support a dilapidated and limited functioning student center and insufficient laboratory and classroom spaces for our School of Engineering faculty and students, we come to you as important contributors towards helping make these facilities possible. These partnered investments can be made possible through the support of Bill 19736. Together, we collectively can make a difference. Mega agradecimiento para todos hamzu. Sijusmasi.
Thank you, Dr. Enriquez. Lawrence, correction, Randy Wiggin, please. Sir, the money man.
Yes, Senator, I'm just here to provide support for questions for the president, so I'm okay.
All right, thank you. Dr. Lawrence Camacho, sir.
Thank you, sir. Buenas and half a day. I am so grateful for this opportunity to speak to this committee on general government operations, appropriations, and housing. So with that, I want to begin by thanking Senator San Agustin, Madam Speaker, the chair of the Higher Education Committee, and members of this committee for your attention to a particular need at the University of Guam, right, in which we are seeking your full support on, and we appreciate the bill, primarily for the future School of Engineering building and the Student Success Center. You know, much is to be said about the need for the building to house our newly branded four-year engineering degree program. As students and others testify for the construction of this building, please note that along with the building comes a significant potential increase in our enrollment, as we are already experiencing with its popularity, this engineering degree popularity, let alone the demand for such skill set in Guam and the region's workforce. You know, the building will not only house essential classroom and laboratory spaces, as already alluded to, but will also heighten the student experience in what is to be coming out of this state-of-the-art facility. Now, as for the student, for the Student Success Center, much is also to be anticipated when it comes down to the student experience and its third and fourth order effects on enrollment. You can bet on the positive impact on our overall enrollment once this contemporary center is completed. UOG is currently, as we know already, and we're starting to see this, attracting a great number of our students coming in from our high schools here in Guam, both public and private, and in the region, along with the community colleges here and in the region. And will for sure be more of an attraction at a greater pace when this building is in place. I can feel it. Besides the hype about this modern student-centered concept, the idea is that, as already alluded to again by Dr. Price as well, it will house all of our essential functions of our student services across the board. You know, we all know that today good portions of our student services are being facilitated out of outside of the confines of the student center here, that is, as already again alluded to, beginning to show and has been showing signs of age and safety vulnerabilities. Yet when this new Student Success Center is in place, our students will no longer be wandering around all over campus trying to access the services that they need to be successful. But then with this new building, we'll also enhance the out-of-classroom experience of our students. The strategic move to design and build a new Student Success Center is, for me and for many others, is indeed a critical piece in our efforts for making the student ecosystem of support not only functional, but a meaningful, again, experience for them to be positively be impacted in their learning outcomes, right? Through fortified self-efficacy and motivation for learning. There are many studies out there that have indicated how student engagement and out-of-class activities enhance the student learning and development. So consequently, another primary objective of our new Student Center, Success Center, is to inspire connectivity among students, enrich the learning experience, and pave the way for future academic success, right? The building will provide individualized learning opportunities through workshops, tutoring, direct learning activities, and study groups, and the goal of preparing students really overall for that rigorous college level coursework that we've been wanting to provide for them at a heightened level. You know, we will feature full-time instructional leadership and trained assistants to help students successfully, again, complete their coursework. I'll end it by saying that, you know, the design of this new building will essentially cover critical gaps in our student success approach. So please know that your full support is greatly appreciated by me as the head of Student Affairs and Dean of Students here at UOG. But what's more important is that our students already know how much this legislative body is in support of their growth and development. We are all counting on their achievements to be Guam's and the region's future leaders, problem solvers, and the designers of hope for our community. Through your investment, though, in them, I believe they are poised to deliver accordingly. And you will hear the testimonies from more students, and you will get what I'm talking about when it comes to that. So again, thank you for this opportunity. And of course, I'm so grateful for your full support of this bill to fund our new School of Engineering building and Student Success Center.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lawrence Macho. We have Katrina Perez, ma'am. You can go ahead and turn on your video. Appreciate it. Thank you. There you go. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Senator Joseph Agustin, Madam Speaker, and members of the Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation, and Housing. My name is Katrina Perez, and I'm the Executive Director of the University of Guam Endowment Foundation. On behalf of the University of Guam Endowment Foundation, I would like to offer my testimony in support of Bill 197-36, which seeks to appropriate $10 million for providing additional financial support towards the construction of the Student Success Center, also referred to as the Student Services Center, and the School of Engineering building. I've had the privilege in recent years to meet with many stakeholders within the University of Guam and the business community regarding the status of the long-awaited construction of the School of Engineering Annex. All agree that there is a steadily growing demand for engineers in our region. We need this in our community, and the UOG Endowment Foundation wants to help the university meet this demand. The makeup of contributors to School of Engineering causes includes many businesses, students, UOG faculty, and administrators. It is our job to listen to our donors and align their interests with giving opportunities at the university. In making this connection, we in turn recognize their needs. We have before us an opportunity to develop a homegrown workforce of engineers. Locally educated engineers will have long established roots in the community and will have a vested interest in its development. This ensures having a stable pool of local hires who won't experience a culture shock or additional stresses of having to adapt to a new environment after moving thousands of miles for the job opportunity. The demand for construction of the School of Engineering Annex is driven not only by the business's needs to hire engineers, rather there is a correlated steady increase in registration amongst UOG engineering students since the announcement of the implementation of the 4-year bachelor's degree program. For 2 consecutive years, the School of Engineering's enrollment has increased over 37%. This evolution of the civil engineering program has given students the opportunity to pursue dreams of engineering degrees close to home with the advantage of substantial savings. Already, we can see the development of a symbiosis between the business community, the School of Engineering, and UOG students in the form of internships. In the past few years, 18 local agencies and companies have provided internship opportunities for civil engineering and pre-engineering students. In these win-win situations, UOG students avail of real-life work experience with practical applications of classroom instruction. Such internships serve to augment the students' resumes and career networks as they enter the workforce after receiving their degree. The internship experience enriches the School of Engineering's 4-year civil engineering program. In turn, participating businesses benefit with having additional workers and can build their reputations as supporters of higher education in the community and helping to build career paths for new graduates. Through the UOG Endowments Foundation's outreach, we receive donations from caring individuals and businesses who wish to directly benefit the School of Engineering. In the past few years, we've received over $35,000 for student engineering scholarships, $100,000 towards the capital campaign, and nearly $160,000 in cash and in-kind donations to purchase much-needed laboratory equipment. With regards to the Student Success Center, it may be said that this building houses the heart of the university. It is here that a positive student experience is truly taken into consideration. The architectural renderings show spaces designated for conference rooms, G4S security, multi-purpose rooms, meeting spaces, a cafeteria, the Triton bookstore, and a makerspace. It also houses administrative offices, such as the Financial Aid Office, Records and Admissions, Career Development, Student Counseling, Student Health, and Student Life. Students' successes or failures in achieving their academic goals can create unseen rippling effects in our community that is already challenged with the lingering impact of COVID-19. As fundraisers for the university, the foundation is concerned about our island, and we are appreciative to Senator San Agustin and the other 7 sponsors for this bill. We are asking the legislature to please vote to approve this bill. Nihi tatsotli mona para minaulik todos. Let's work together for the good of all. Biba UOG. Thank you.
Biba UOG. Thank you, Executive Director. We'll now have Ken Ridgell. I hope I didn't murder your last name there, Ken. Ken, turn on your video, please.
Yeah,
There you go, Ken.
No, you nailed it, Senator. Thank you very much. Yeah. I know some people think I'm Palauan, some people don't know what to think, but I can rest assured I'm homegrown from Guam. Thank you for allowing me to testify, to offer testimony in full support of Bill 197-36. I echo the sentiment that everybody has said so far. Just a little context, I'm the council chairman for the School of Engineering. We're an advisory council made up of industry professionals to help advise the School of Engineering's faculty and staff of just what's going on in the community. I'm also a vice president here at Dueñas Camacho and Associates, Guam's largest locally owned engineering firm with over 54 employees strong. I'm a UOG alumni, as is yourself, and very proud of that too. I'm going to try to keep it short. I've submitted written testimony and thank you for accepting it. I'm going to just share just as briefly as I can my own story, if I can. You have my written testimony. I think it speaks for itself. I'm a member of the pre-engineering program at UOG. Or I was part of it back in 1991, 92, after happily graduating from the George Washington Senior High School. Going into UOG, I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to be at UOG, but my mom encouraged me to keep it up. I didn't do very well at all until I found math. And I did very well in math, but I was told math is good, but it wasn't really where I felt I should be. So there was a pre-engineering program that Dr. Kajrapana and Dr. Leroy Heights were running. So I took it and it sparked my interest. It piqued my attention and it got me set on the right path. Unfortunately, there was no school of engineering, so I had to go off island. I got my master's degree, I went off island. I went to the University of Southern California and I got my first bill. And I called my mom and said, Mom, I need to give up on this. It's $20,000 a semester. And that doesn't include our room and board. And I had my girlfriend and my newborn son at the time. And it was a very down and out time for me as as someone from Guam trying to get my engineering degree. When I saw that bill, I didn't know what to do. And so I called my mom again and I said, I'm going to come home. We'll figure something else out. I was fortunate enough, my mom encouraged me to stick it out. We'll make it happen. And lo and behold, I got my degree. Very fortunate for that. I've been back on Guam ever since, working hard for our island. I just shared that story real quick because I was very fortunate that my family was able to help me push through that. I can just imagine other students, and some students are on this call, when they get that piece of information. So I think having a school of engineering and the student center as well would vastly help encourage the faculty at the university, our island environment, and just give us a lot of sense of pride in this school, not just for Guam, but for our region as well. So, I was lucky. I know there's other students out there who might not be as lucky. And I think this program at the university, it's growing day by day, as was mentioned, will very much help our island and our region. And I'm in very full support of it, not just as a chairman for the advisory council, but as just a resident of Guam. So thank you, Senator and Senators, for introducing this, and please give it your full support, and we'll continue to do our hard work here on Guam to train these new engineers and bring them into our ranks. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. Angelo Pauly. Let's see if we can get you. Angelo, you ready? There you go.
Yes. Half a day, Mr. Chairman, half a day, Madam Speaker, Senators of the 36th Guam Legislature, and all those in attendance. My name is Angelo Pauly, and I am the President of the 68th Student Government Association over at the University of Guam. And I will be representing SGA to testify in support of this bill. This bill and the two facilities it helps fund will transform the University of Guam in the coming decades. A dedicated facility for engineering helps UOG's ability to retain local talent in the program, and we believe our island. Additional testimony from students, particularly in the engineering program, should help corroborate that point. The new Student Success Center would help bring UOG's facilities more in line with its ambitions. The size of the current student center is catching up on the growing student services and spatial needs of the UOG community. Currently, the engineering program at UOG does not have its own physical school, and this places various limitations on Guam students passionate in the field. With a building, the School of Engineering would advance its capacity to offer things like various specialties in engineering, more structured curriculum, study spaces, and very importantly, labs to apply engineering theory to practice. Morale-wise, from a student standpoint, a building would also offer a sense of belonging and continuity as students progress through their years at UOG. Currently, engineering students attend classes from a patchwork of irregular locations. And one anonymous student who I've talked to about engineering has said they kind of have a vision of the engineering program in the future as you walk into the engineering building and you see students kind of collaborating in the main lobby, kind of like what you see today in the science buildings, perhaps. In terms of the new Student Success Center that is being planned, that would be a major upgrade from the current Student Center. The Student Center's capacity for study space is limited, especially in light of current day needs to be socially distanced. If you walk through our Student Center during the day, you'll often find maxed out use of the COVID-safe single-person study zones in the area. And considering the current pandemic and considering future challenges, more space for students to receive services and engage in other academic or extracurricular activities such as student organization meetings is a must. The 60th SGA has also coordinated an effort to mobilize our student population and our various student organizations to testify on this bill. And we believe coming out in support of any given section of the Triton body has the potential to help all Tritons and also our island. And I would also like to commend the current engineering program staff right now for succeeding what seems like in spite of various limitations. And I would also like to thank Madam SVP Enriquez and Dean Lawrence for helping us coordinate our efforts to bring the students together. And so with that, we conclude our testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poli. Thank you for your testimony. Go Triton. Yes, sir. We have Christopher Cruz. Sir, if you can just turn on your video, I'd appreciate it. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you for this great opportunity, Mr. Chairman and Senators. Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Cruz, and I'm a current student of the Civil Engineering program in UOG. I'm here to share my testimony in support of Bill number 197-36. Thank you for this great opportunity. I started my engineering education in UOG since 2007 under the late pre-engineering program. It's a 2-year program designed for students to go to the States to finish an engineering degree, just like Mr. Kenneth Rectal was shared earlier. I finished as a double major in math and secondary education in UOG instead in 2013. Although my dream was to become an engineer, I didn't pursue an engineering degree at that time because the university has not offered a complete engineering program. However, upon decades of dedication and work and hard work of Dr. Castrupana, we call him Dr. K, a complete civil engineering program is now available at UOG. It's a great achievement for Guam's future. There are 3 things I want to share with you on why I support this bill. Number 1, the University of Guam Civil Engineering program is thriving. This coming semester, 13 of my colleagues are going to be the first civil engineering graduating class in Guam's history. Several more will follow in the next semester. Moreover, about 35 new students this semester alone began the graphics course in engineering, which indicates that enrollment in this program is increasing. I know this for a fact because in my 5 years experience in Guam's classrooms, many of my students share this same engineering interest. As a matter of fact, some of my students before are my colleagues now in this program. They're my classmates now. Therefore, we can describe the School of Engineering in UOG as a growing family. As we all know, a growing family will be needing a good home, and this bill will make that happen. Number 2, this new building will allow engineering students to maximize their learning experience. This will enable the students to compete in abilities in their stateside counterparts. Guam deserves the best professionals, especially the ones that came from Guam herself. As mentioned before, with my colleagues, the problem of not having a building creates several disadvantages in learning and are currently being experienced as we speak, such as lack of organized classrooms and offices, no space to conduct engineering experiments, shortage in space to house equipment, problems in logistics and travel because of scattered offices and classrooms within the whole university grounds. All these greatly affect the quality of learning experienced by the students. All these issues will be eliminated if you pass the bill. This new building will enable the School of Engineering to produce best quality engineers that will serve Guam for the next decades. Finally, the structure will enable the School of Engineering to expand its engagement in both government and private institutions. Opportunities for new studies, research, collaborations, projects, environmental assessment, etc., will impact Guam's community in every aspect in a very positive way. Just like the purpose of an engineer, this building, through the UOG School of Engineering, it will work at anything to improve, innovate, and maintain the good well-being of the community of Guam for the years to come. Again, I support Bill 197-36. A support for this bill is support for a thriving higher level engineering education for our island, maximize learning experience for students, and extensive commitment for both government and private institutions for a better future of our island. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christopher, and congratulations. Continue to march. Go Triton. Now we'll get Sean Lee. Let's get Sean Lee here. I'm looking if she's See if Sean Lee's still here.
Hello.
There, Mr. Lee, you're it. You're on.
Hello. My name is Sean Lee, the current president of the University of Guam Society of American Military Engineers Student Chapter and a senior student in the University of Guam School of Engineering program. Buenos dias and hafide to all honorable senators, stakeholders, and to the people of Guam. In support of Bill number 197-36, I am for the funding and construction of the University of Guam School of Engineering building. The School of Engineering building is needed to foster outstanding learning and produce graduates to be equipped for and to inspire towards higher personal and professional achievement. The School of Engineering building is not just to pursue and perform research of the highest quality, it is also to motivate and enhance the scientific, cultural, and economics of society through the disciplines of engineering, contributing to the quality of life, and fulfilling the aspirations of the local populace of Guam and the neighboring islands of the Marianas. However, despite creatively leveraging existing space across campus, such as the School of Business and the English building, our student-focused facility footprint has not grown comparably, leading to space shortages and class schedule fluctuations between the university's department divisions. The need to construct new facilities is critical. By providing an independent learning environment that engineering students need to prepare for industry, the new building will relieve pressure on the university's departmental buildings. Not only that, the School of Engineering building can also provide a space for all existing engineering labs that are currently spread apart at the University of Guam's Dean Circle. Personally, the UOG School of Engineering program has been my life for the past 5 years, and I would like to see it grow and flourish. It would mean a lot for the engineering professors and for the former Dean of the School of Engineering, Dr. Kashwapana, that has been with us and with this program since its beginnings. Back in the early 2018, the groundbreaking for the School of Engineering happened. However, this is 2021, and the building for the School of Engineering has not been erected yet. I hope for the students' sake that this will be the last time that this will occur. Please note that there is a great amount of energy that is emerging since the establishment of UOG's 4-year engineering degree program, and this momentum continues to increase. However, with the storage of the first-rate learning spaces with this new building promises, one can anticipate a potential decline in the popularity of this program, which could cause a third and fourth order effect to our local engineering industry. This will conclude my testimony. I would like to end my presentation by thanking the Office of Senator San Agustin and the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriations, and Housing for letting me have the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. I appreciate it. We have Megan Karahe.
Hello.
Hi.
Buenas and half a day. My name is Megan Karahe, and I am a graduating senior from the University of Guam School of Engineering. I would like to thank you for accepting my short and sweet testimony in support of Bill number 197-36. Dr. Sharam Kosharpana, the University of Guam faculty, launched the University of Guam School of Engineering's 4-year program in 2018. All efforts towards this program have set precedent for a growing student population, with every individual seeking a Bachelor of Science degree in civil engineering. When I first came aboard onto the School of Engineering, they scheduled a groundbreaking for the engineering building in spring 2018. Today is the year 2021, and the building is still terrain. In addition, I was a former research assistant under Dr. Patil, and in my experience, we had to figure out how are we going to fit over 10 students in this small living room size lab. Our lab became overcrowded to the point we had to move out of the ELI building and move into House 28 in the Dean Circle. I hope that with this newly built engineering building, the next move for our engineering labs will be the last. This will conclude my testimony. Once again, I speak for Bill number 197-36. Although I may no longer be a student by the time, I will still look forward to rooms being in close proximity, additional storage capacity for supplies, ABET accreditation, and availability of group study rooms for the growing engineering student population. I would like to thank Honorable Senator San Agustin, Madam Speaker, and the members of the committee for allowing my testimony on the matter. Thank you. Sizuis Maasi.
Thank you, Megan. No, they're probably going to invite you back because you'll be a graduate. You can come back to the university and show that you're alumni and you're here to support the engineers. We'll have now Nolan Flores.
Buenas and half a day, Mr. Chair, Madam Speaker, and members of the committee and others present. Guaho si Nolan Flores, si Dos Maasi para esta oportunidad, who representa y Universidad Guahan, gi Congreso man Hoben Guahan. Gining Guaho zantodo y man estudiante sia gini Universidad, hunai y sinapotin mami para y priniponin 197-36 COR. Since beginning our educational journeys at the University of Guam, the Student Center has supported a variety of student activities and student support services, ranging from welcome back events to student orientations and student organization meetings, dance practices, and perhaps most importantly, opportunities for connecting with one another. Despite these many and varied activities, and in light of the university's recent growth, the Student Center's capacity to support and accommodate the needs of students has undoubtedly dwindled. The condition of the existing building is non-conducive to a healthy and enriching campus, and outright unsafe due to the significant dilapidation of the building, from the mold issues to the infestation concerns and the threatened structural integrity. As such, to sustain and expand the student activities that are necessary to an institution of higher learning and which make the university great, a new student center is desperately and urgently needed. We envision a student center that serves as the center of campus life, supports the diverse and ever-evolving needs of students, and further fosters the strong sense of community and togetherness that is found only at our university. A new student center is a proactive and well-spent investment in students and in our greater island community, whose well-being and success are inextricably tied to ours. For several years now, students have demanded and numerous times been promised a new student center, only to remain waiting still today. We are thus supportive of and grateful for the initiative taken by the sponsors of this bill in finally bringing this promise to realization. Just as a new student center will go a long way toward improving student life, the construction of the long-awaited School of Engineering buildings will support the rapidly expanding academic, professional, and community-connected boundaries of the University of Guam and its students. The School of Engineering buildings are an equally critical and necessary component of promoting and providing for this burgeoning growth. While we look forward to the passage of this bill and the subsequent construction of these highly anticipated and immensely needed facilities, we continue to urge this body to continue its investment in our futures and in our island through the adequate funding of our island's only university. As consistently demonstrated, each and every penny invested into the university and its students is returned tenfold in boundless growth for our island and invaluable benefits for our people. We extend our gratitude and appreciation for your continued commitment. Sizos Masi Nui Tempun Mizu.
Zos Masi, Senor Flores, thank you very much for your testimony. We have Mr. Teo. I'm just looking at Mr. Teo. If you would turn on your video, I appreciate it.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Buenas and half a day. My name is Teo. I've actually, I really appreciate the opportunity to support this bill. I am in agreement with a lot of the testimonies today. Guam is definitely in need of a local engineering school. I wanted to kind of base off my testimony based off my own personal experience. I actually graduated high school here in Guam. Graduated, wanted to pursue a degree in engineering. I was kind of in the same situation that Ken was in. Didn't really have an engineering program. Went to an off-island engineering school. I know there's a lot of talk about brain drain on the island and how a lot of people leave the island and don't come back. And that's kind of been most of the cases. Most of my classmates that studied off island, they saw the opportunities out there. Most of them didn't return. Me, on the other hand, I had family connections and I had responsibilities here, which kind of forced me to return. But upon my return, I also noticed there's a lot of things that were lacking when it comes to local conditions here. When I was studying out there, they were trying to teach us how to design using wood, steel, most of these stuff is not really applicable here. We need a local engineering program that could teach students how to design using concrete, reinforced concrete, different types of concrete methods, different types of construction methods pertaining to concrete construction. So really, most of my experiences were from here on the island, and because of Guam's unique conditions, such as the high wind load that we have on island, and also the high seismic activity, I think an engineering program that's geared towards what Guam needs is really important. And also, I remember when I was trying to take my professional engineering exam, and as a college graduate, return back to the island, there are certain exams such as engineering and training and the professional engineering exam. My own personal experience has been where there's been close to about 30 to 40 people. There's a lot of interest in engineering. There's definitely a lot of people that want to be professionals. The sad reality is that there's a lot of lack of support for EIT, or engineering and training, or the PE exam on the island. Out of 40 people that took it with us, I believe about 2 people passed. It is a national exam. It is quite difficult. And I just really believe there is a lack of support for the EIT and the PE exam, which pretty much is equivalent to a CPA exam for an accountant. And basically, I again wanted to thank you for the opportunity. I definitely support this bill. I truly believe in education, and I really believe that we need to have a local engineering program that could help the students prepare for the local workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O. I appreciate your testimony. My colleagues, and to the people of Guam and the folks that are here on the Zoom, we have about 10 written testimonies submitted, specifically from from Kyle Dahalik. We have Jordan Cole. We got Brian Barcinas, Anthony Lucis, Tor Gutmanson, Maria Christie, Paul Santos, from Regent Mike Nahalo. We have Edriel Aquino, and we have Jezreel Sabayan. I hope I didn't murder your name. I think I got that right. And with that, I'd ask my colleagues to be able to, they would like to ask any questions of the folks that testified. We'll begin with Senator Shelton, one of my co-sponsors, and we'll move along. Senator Shelton.
Mr. Chair, buenas, everyone. Thank you very much for the testimony today. Mr. Chair, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to co-sponsor this legislation in support of the University of Guam. All of the students, and especially those students pursuing their degrees in engineering, thank you very much. I'd like to ask President Kreis if you can expand a little on what are some of the increased costs that we are now faced with for the new School of Engineering. I know that there's a new cost analysis and we saw some numbers go up. Can you expand on those for us?
Yes, thank you, Senator. I think that I'll have Randy Wiegand provide a little bit more detail, but the main thing is the increase in construction costs since the loan started. The process for this loan started a number of years ago, and you might be aware of the on again, off again changes that happened over that time. So the problem is that the loan, it would have cost that much a number of years ago to complete, but construction costs have increased in this time, and that's why the additional costs. So Randy might have more on that.
Yeah, I was just, it's materials costs and it's labor costs, both have gone up significantly, and it's pretty consistent with what's going on around the world. That I think it's partly a result of COVID that materials hadn't been available, and now that things are starting to open up, there's a lot of people competing for limited supplies, and So yeah, we've just found ourselves in a hard spot. I don't know if I don't know if either of these is ever going to correct itself. It seems less likely that the personnel cost of this is going to get any better. The labor cost.
All right, thank you so much. I think that is part of the discussions we've heard when we were addressing bills for the new hospital and for the new corrections facility. And so that's something that we know that all new buildings coming up are going to be faced with. And we understand that need right now. Mr. Chair, I'd also like to just express my gratitude to everyone else from the University of Guam, Madam Chair of the Board of Regents, Senior Vice President, thank you very much, Vice President Wiegand, President Christ, especially to our students, and as well as Dean Camacho, thank you for being here. I remember when I was first a student at the University of Guam and we were discussing a new student center at that time, and I thought maybe in my time at the university, I would have seen a new student center, but I'm very excited for our future students and our students today who will be able to enjoy it. And we've seen such good use out of that space at the University of Guam. I think we're always adapting to the needs of the students and making it the best use and safest use possible, but it's definitely in need of an update. So thank you very much. And to all of the engineering students and our local engineers who joined us on the call today, thank you for pushing us to do this. And I hope that I, as well as all of my colleagues, will remember these students and our administration from the University of Guam advocating for this funding for our university when it comes time to vote for this. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Shelton, and I'm happy you mentioned about the student service. I remember that in '75. I even remember building A and B. They finally tore it down. They got new buildings, and thank God. Then hopefully we can get this student services going. Madam Speaker, Speaker Terlaje, are you still there? Let's see.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Having some internet problem.
Thank you,
There you
Mr. Chair. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wanted to just thank everyone for their testimony, of course. And I don't think there's any dispute as to the need for the engineering building, or campus, or the student center. These have been long vetted, existing for years now. In fact, I think I was at that groundbreaking that the student referred to in 2018 for the engineering. I'm sure I was there. And so I guess I want to find out. So we're talking about a need for additional money because the original USDA loan is now not enough because of increased costs. I guess I just wanted to find out, what was your source of repayment on the USDA loan originally? Does that need to be repaid? And what is your source of repayment on that?
Yeah, it is a repayment, and the legislature had passed a commitment in 2015 to pay 1.15 million a year for that, and so that's our source of repayment for the loan.
Okay, and then recently in our budget for FY22, was there additional funds allocated towards that?
Well, the 1.15 million was included and discussed in the budget. It included language. This is going to come out of general operations, the general operations appropriation, and we're hoping to get that changed for future years.
To what?
Oh, to have it be in addition to the general operations appropriation.
All right, and is the University of Guam paying other USDA loans right now? Like, are you still paying on the School of Business?
Yes, we are. We still owe about 10 million on the School of Business.
All right, do you expect any of those to be completed during this fiscal year?
No.
Any of your current financing for capital improvements? Not? No.
No.
All right, and then what is the source of funding on the School of Business loan?
That's also a special appropriation from the legislature. It's a $500,000 payment that we get each year as part of the special appropriation.
Okay, and then have you discussed, I know, I thought that the University of Guam had discussed with the governor receiving some ARP funds. Are you expecting any ARP funds?
Mr. President.
So we've made a request to ADLUT for any funds that they might have available. And so there it looks like there might be some available funds there. So to cover. So we're hoping so anyway. So
how much are you expecting to receive?
7.1 is what we asked for. So.
All right, and on this projects for the Student Center and the Engineering School, are you expecting any UOG Foundation contributions?
So the UOG Endowment Foundation is helping in a bunch of different ways that Randy can explain further. So they've been very helpful. It's been really important to have them as partners in this, but I don't think any direct support from the endowed funds themselves.
All right. Has the UOG Endowment Foundation contributed to any other capital improvement projects on the campus?
They have during the SBPA building for a number of years. They contributed some money to that. Randy could elaborate on that.
Yeah, so they're giving us $100,000. Our total debt service is about $750,000 a year, and so we get $500,000 from the legislature, and then we've been getting $100,000 from the endowment fund to help us pay for that.
Okay, but they have no plans on contributing to either of these two buildings at this time?
Their contribution is that it's a lease back arrangement, so it's a bit complicated. But that's kind of their participation in this. It's been critical to get this through. Randy, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. So the initial time when this was initially planned, it was going to be it was going to count toward the government debt ceiling. And then there was a borrowing that got in before us and took up all the available capacity for borrowing. And so we had to come up with a different solution. And we approached the endowment fund and asked if they could be the borrower so that the actual liability is off the government books and not counting toward the debt ceiling. So yeah, so they are helping. They're actually, so we're leasing land to them, and then they are going to lease the buildings back to us, and then we'll pay lease payments, and they will use those lease payments to pay for the debt service for the loan.
Yes, because I remember that when the land was there was, I think that required legislation as well, so that to authorize the foundation to be the one able to receive this land in order so that it could help with the financing of these two buildings in particular. That was discussed since back then. All right, so as I said earlier, I have no objection to these, to this money going towards assisting with the cost on these buildings. I just want to know, it seems like it's been years and the changes, right? When the land was transferred and I know the government has really been the one that is making the largest portion of these payments. So I just wanted to recognize that, because it is really the people of Guam who are paying for these buildings, and they're continuing to pay. And now that, we're having shifts, they're going to pay a little bit more or give up a little bit more from some other sources of funding. This one particular is the general fund. And so we had talked earlier today about, this source of funding, how reliable it really is. But if it comes through, I have no objection to helping the University of Guam, but I just want you to continue to recognize the people of Guam and their efforts to grow the university. It's really, they've really contributed a lot. And my only other thing I'm going to say is I was at the groundbreaking for the engineering school. If I understand correctly, it's going to be there on that view property. And I always wish that the student center was going to be the one that's built there so that the students can enjoy the view, that beautiful view. And when you create your enclosed area, that they can have functions there with that beautiful view up there at the University of Guam. That's all. But thank you. I understand your designs are probably already done. But Sizos Masi to all of you for your testimonies. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you, Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'd like to also recognize Anthony Regis also submitted testimony. And we'll move on now to Senator Pedo Terlaje. Sir, do you have anything you'd like to question the folks that have testified? Senator Pedo, unmute, please. Unmute first. There you go. There you go. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to thank the staff of UOG for their testimony, and also those that provided testimony regarding Bill 197. I just wanted to kind of just ask the President, Mr. President, you had mentioned $7.1 million that you have requested from the governor for the APR funds. Is the $7.1 million in regards to a structural or your UOG programs, educational programs?
So the request was related to this, so that we're sort of seeking all sources of possible way to cover this. So we're aiming for the same thing. So.
Okay, so you're aiming for the structural, and also for your educational programs.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Chair, that's all that I ask, and I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody for their testimony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Terlaje, and thank you, Dr. Cry, for stating that you're asking the government for some money, and if that comes true, then of course this bill shrinks, and we try to cover the other shortfall you have, and we do what we need to do. We'll have now Senator Cruz Duenas, Minority Leader, sir.
Mr. Chairman, and Dr. Kreis, faculty, staff, regents, and most especially the students. Very nice hearing from you today, and those success stories of Guam's homegrown engineers like Kenny and others. We're so proud of you. Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions, but I wanted to make sure that this panel understood what we've had in prior hearings on other bills that seek to do capital improvements within our agencies and departments within the government of Guam, which I think is a very proper investment. Just for the sake of questions that might arise once again on the viability of this funding source, I have asked the chairman to write a letter to our congressman, as well as Department of Revenue and Taxation and BBMR, for them to qualify the issue of whether or not we're talking about receiving funds under this EITC reimbursement from tax year 2020, which will affect what we have done in tax year 2021 in remitting, tax refunds under the ITC program. If this comes to fruition, like OFB and some of us feel is the correct situation, then the reimbursement to the government of Guam would be to the tune of whatever we have already paid in fiscal year 2021 in tax refunds. We believe that to be true, but we want to put Rev and Tax, BBMR, as well as our congressman on the record, supporting the fact that 2020 is when this kicked in, and this is a viable and true funding source. So for those of you that are listening, that are going to be watching closely as we move these bills forward, we anticipate a positive response. And if that's the case, then we want to assure you that this funding is sufficient, is available. And I'm certain that, as the expression from many senators so far today, obviously we support this capital improvement. We support the University of Guam. So just so you understand, we're doing our due diligence to make sure that the funding source is viable prior to passing this bill, so that there's no unintended consequences. With that, Mr. Chairman, thank you once again for continuing to introduce bills for structural and capital improvements Guam, particularly in this case the university.
Thank you, Minority Leader Senator Cruz. And yes, we are drafting the letter, and we will be submitting those letters to the appropriate agencies, specifically the Congressman, our Delegate Mike Nicholas. So now we'll have Senator, let's see, Tello. Senator Tello, are you still there?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, there you go, Senator.
Yes, good afternoon to everyone. Dr. Christ, it's good to see you as always, of course, in the Board of Regents. Katrina as well, thank you so much. And Anita, thank you for your testimony as well. And especially to those who came and testify regarding the the engineering building, as well, the student center, all the students that came in and testified. It always brings it to heart when you have individuals who are just newly at graduating or wants to come back to contribute to the University of Guam's contribution to our community, which is themselves. So greatly appreciate it. As far as the funding source is concerned, I went ahead, Dr. Christ, and sent you a copy of the fiscal note. It kind of explains the situation, so you're abreast of that. It's good to share it with your other colleagues as well. Like all of us, we all support the intent of this legislation and would like to see it through. I mean, hopefully there's more money coming in, and hopefully if this infrastructure bill that is passed by the U.S. Congress goes through, Guam stands to see some kind of funding. Right now, it's still stagnant in Congress right now. So we can all light a candle for that, to try and get that funding there, because seriously, it's going to need candles, prayers, rosaries at this point, the way Congress is moving on this infrastructure bill. So that being said, Randy wanted to clarify the annual payment. Did you say 1.15 or is it 1.5 for the annual payment?
Yeah, it's 1.15.
1.15, correct? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that because I thought it was 1.5. The other one is when it comes to the building permits for these buildings, is the University of Guam required to obtain conditional use permits for Guam Land Commission as they did in past for other buildings?
I think Randy can remark on that.
Yeah, so conditional use permit. I mean, we need to go through DPW and the whole regimen of permits, SHPO, and so we have to go through that entire permitting process before we can start construction.
And it is very lengthy, like the other buildings that you had to go through this whole process. Have you already, looked into the cost of this additional, requirement and how much it's going to cost? Have you tagged that on to the additional? You mentioned it was like 9.1 million shortfall. Is that incorporated in there as well?
Yes, it is. And for the student center, because we're building on a existing facility, the permitting should be much smoother for that. And we think that in the engineering annex, because it's in an area that has been looked at before, that it also should not be as long as a typical permitting process. But we're ready and we're prepared to go through that process.
So in the event the funding is available, whether through this bill or ARP funding, hopefully, or governor comes up with the money for you, when do you anticipate to begin construction on this, and what's the duration
Yeah,
complete?
so the construction period, we were looking at about 30 months. We're going to try and cut that down if we could. The permitting is going to take 6 months from the time that we give the go ahead. So it could be as early as April that we have the groundbreaking, the final groundbreaking for the student center at least. The engineering annex is going to follow that a little bit as we have to go through a procurement process before we can start that.
So the anticipated timeframe in which you begin to break ground, because like you said, it does the procurement process going through. So you're saying April, that's kind of early. I mean, I can see that with the shovel ready project, you know, plus it's currently in a situation that you said right now, it's already on property or, but the engineering, when do you anticipate that to break ground? Or at least sending out the, what is it, the bid or the proposal?
Yeah, actually, so we have a contractor on board for the, it's a design build project for the student center. So we have that team is already on board, and we've done a lot of work on the engineering and design. So yeah, and actually I said April, that's probably too aggressive. It's going to take them a little time. So we're estimating the permitting process could be 6 months in its own, and it's going to take 2 months to finalize the design plans and get the A&E work done. So yeah, it's, you know, now that I'm thinking about that, it's probably going to be June or July before we can, the earliest we could break ground on this. And you know, we're going to try and work through the permitting as quickly as we can.
Yeah, and considering, you know, Randy, the situation we're all in with COVID, you know, and the delays that happen, you know, even with supplies, it's not just the contractors themselves, but the supply issue shortage that's happening in the United States right now. It's probably safe to say this project won't break ground for another year. But thank you for that information. It's good to know. Maybe we can, if anything, you know, we still have the opportunity to find additional funding if this funding is not available to move forward on a very important project as we watch the university grow. You know, so too is the people that they graduate to actually help our economy, our island to grow as well. So we'll grow together. Viva UOG. Okay, that's that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Toe. We'll have now, last but not least, Senator Joanne Brown, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I certainly appreciate the testimony that's been provided on this bill to provide additional funding for our student center and our engineering building. I also had been waiting for quite some time after hearing the announcements that these buildings would be built. And certainly in the case of student center reconstructed, but have not seen activity. So certainly hearing the testimony today gives me some insight with regards to that. I mean, I remember the student center when it had gravel for a parking lot. I attended a graduation for a cousin of mine who went on to become an educator here in Guam. But I do just want to comment because I, you know, having been a student at the university, having graduated there, having taught at the university and also worked there, I just want to make sure that with regards to this funding, that it's available. And I hope to our Board of Regents chair and the board members there, and certainly to President Christ and members of the faculty and students, I think that's the main thing that I would be concerned with in wanting to vote for this bill. I certainly am very supportive of the university, but I also want to make sure this funding is available. With what we've done this week with regards to EITC funding and what we assume is a reimbursement that's coming to Guam, you know, we did, of course, as you're aware, approved $35 million for the hospital, another $5 million to construct a new prison facility. Just today, we've had bills for $9.5 million for the mayors to have funds to build sports facilities within the village. We've had a $3.5 million bill to do historic preservation. We're going to be hearing another bill this afternoon for $580,000 for the Elder Justice Center and another $10 million this afternoon for the Guam Visitors Bureau. That totals $73.58 million. And I've not heard that high a figure with regards to the reimbursement. And I have had colleagues that have introduced legislation that exceeds over $100 million in appropriation for this funding. So I, like some of my other colleagues, want to also make sure and verify that such funding is available so that if we are passing legislation to fund these critically needed buildings at the university, that the funding is going to be there, especially because you have it tied into other funding that has been pursued to complete these facilities. So I just want to be upfront with that. I think it's always good to do that. I think we all want to be in the cheerleading part of this process and want to be supportive of these major constructions. I like the fact that it's invested in something that has long-term benefit for our community and for our students. But again, I've just seen such a rush of appropriation bills with regards to this funding that I'm concerned about it. I'm also concerned about the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic that we don't know when it's going to end. When this started early last year, I thought maybe in a few months we'll get to some sense of normalcy and life will go on. And yet here we are now going into 2 years. And I don't know a year from now what will be the financial situation of the government of Guam. I think we're already starting to feel in the community the impacts of the decrease of federal funding, particularly with regards to PUA. And that's my concern. I want to make sure that we're able to sustain the existing operations and the critical operations of the government, including the money that's appropriated in this budget for UOG. So I just want to put that out there because I always think it's best to be upfront. I don't like all the sugar coating of the taste of the cake is going to be a bit bitter. And so I hope that as we get this information available, it's also available to you at the university and everyone else that has a proposed appropriation so that we can make sure that the funding is real and it's tangible and can be used for its intended purposes. Because shortly, as we get to voting on these bills on the floor, which I don't doubt they will rush very quickly to put it on session agenda, that when it reaches the cap of what's intended to be the funding for the EITC, I don't know that I will vote for any further bills because I don't want to, again, make any false promises to anyone with regards to this funding. So I just want to relay that. I just think we need to be mindful of the realities of what's going on. And, we just need to verify. And if that's indeed the case and our colleagues agree of this as a priority, it's a tangible priority, like I said, that will benefit the university and our community many years into the future. But I just want to make sure that it's real money that can be used for its intended purposes. With that, Mr. Chair, I have no further comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Brown. And I'd like to thank all the folks, Dr. Kreis, Lisa from the Board of Regents, and your staff and everyone else, the students that have come out and testified in support of the bill. If there's any testimony, you may submit your testimony to the mailroom of the Guam Legislature or through email at Senator Joe S. and Agustin at gmail.com. And again, I want to thank everyone for participating and attending this virtual public hearing and for providing feedback and suggestions. The public hearing is now adjourned. Thank you, Dr. Kreis, and all the folks out there and all my colleagues. It is now 2:54. Jesus Monsi, please be safe. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, senators.